Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we have a beer that I think will be very interesting. This one is a collaboration beer. It's half Spanish or half Catalan on the home side and then half Canadian on the away side, and both of the breweries involved in this one have featured on the channel before. And this is a beer style that I really do quite like, but it's also a little bit of a first on the channel as well, and you'll find out why in just a second. So for this one then we are going to go down to Barcelona in Catalunya in the northeast of Spain, and we're having a look at another beer from Garage Beer Company. So this one is the Whale Mist, which they're describing as an Imperial Barcelona Weisse with blackberries, blueberries and blackcurrants added to the brew. But it's brewed in collaboration with Collective Arts Brewing Company, who are of course from Hamilton in Ontario over in the eastern part of Canada. So yeah, I think this is a really random beer. Obviously I've told you on the channel before that I love, berry sour beers. I really enjoy these. I've had quite a few berry Berliner Weisses as well, so I'm curious to see how the Barcelona Weisse turns out and how that's different, of course. But this is the first sort of sour Weiss beer that I've had that is such high strength. So this one comes in at 8% ABV, and yeah, we'll just really need to see how this one turns out. This one was released as part of the Tillfällig sortiment in Systembolaget here in Sweden on the 26th of May 2020, and I thought, this is just a really quirky beer and I have to review this one. So here we are now. So really looking forward to trying this one, and as always I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer as well. Nice to return to both of these breweries as well actually. Garage Beer Company in Barcelona and Catalunya, and Garage Beer Company from Ontario over in Canada. So let's see how we get on with this one. I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about both the breweries involved here before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery websites and a link to the other reviews that I've done from Garage Beer Company and another one for Collective Arts Brewing Company. No doubt you'll see more beers added to both of those lists in the fairly near future. You can check out all the usual social media and things down there as well. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Canadian beer reviews that I've done for you, and another one for all the Spanish beers. Those are both being added to whenever I get the opportunity, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review, especially from Spain and from Canada, because I'm not too well versed in the beer scenes there. But it's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Garage Beer Company then, we'll start with these guys since they are the home brewery. So as I've mentioned to you already, Garage Beer Company are based in Barcelona, and the company was founded back in 2015 by Alberto Zambolin and James Welsh, who founded a beer bar together. So the two had met during a brewing course that was taught by Steve Huxley, who's a very well-known Liverpudlian that moved to Barcelona back in the 1970s. But James is English and he comes from a background in tech and IT, while Alberto is Italian and he worked in advertising and design. So this brewery is basically started up by two foreigners in Barcelona, but there's quite a few breweries like that as well. Edge Brewing, if I remember correctly, are another one who's been started up by an American guy, if I remember correctly. I've not had one of their beers in quite a while actually, but Barcelona is a very thriving craft beer city these days. I really need to get down there and check it out actually. But the two managed to set up their brewery in only a few months, and you can find it in the Exemplar district of the city, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Probably not. But they have a Bulgarian brew kit there that can produce 1,200 litres of beer per time, and they're also interested in art as well. So the brewery and bar are always hosting different events displaying lots of artwork from local artists. I think they do a few music performances and things like that as well, and in 2016 they did a round of crowdfunding which has allowed them to open up a newer production facility as well. This brewery opened in 2017, and from there they've been able to start exporting their beers across Europe, and also some have gone over to America as well, and they've began brewing some sour beers in the original brewery. So I'm not sure whether this one has been brewed in the original brewery or whether it will have been brewed at the larger production facility. Maybe this is one that's been brewed as you know, as a special export one, so it's maybe been brewed on the larger scale. But as of May 2020, these guys have produced around 200 different types of beer, which is pretty impressive when you consider they've only been around you know, 5 years, of course. So that works out, what, about 40 beers per year? So yeah, you're talking at least 3 beers per month from these guys. So that's pretty damn impressive, I have to say. You have to take your hat off to them for that. That's a pretty impressive rate of return for a garage beer company. But yeah, a very impressive brewery. I've enjoyed the other beers that I've had from these guys. You can check out more of those, of course, if you look at the links in the video description below. The last one I had was a really lovely double IPA. If I remember correctly. I've had a good few beers from Garage Beer Company now, and it's always nice to review the Spanish beers. There tends to be a rule in Europe that if a country is good at wine and they try their hand at beer, then it always turns out to be very, very nice. So yeah, that's all you need to know about Garage Beer Company. If you want to learn more, check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, let's go on to the Canadian side of things then. So Collective Arts Brewing Company. As I mentioned to you earlier, Collective Arts are based in Hamilton in Ontario, and they were founded back in 2013 by Matt Johnson and Bob Russell. So Matt comes from a background in marketing, and he had worked in the beer industry for a number of years, notably with Moosehead, the big Canadian macro beer producer, while Bob on the other hand came from a branding background, and he ran his own businesses. So the brewery are based in the former brewery of Lakeport Brewing Company, which is leased from the Hamilton Port Authority. They share this facility with Nickelbrook Brewing, and it's known as the Arts and Science Brewery. The current brewmaster that they have is Ryan Morrow, and he's also the brewmaster for Nickelbrook Brewing, as far as I understand, and he's worked for them since 2006. But the whole idea behind the brewery was apparently to bring together local artists, musicians, filmmakers, photographers through the sociability of beer, hence the name Collective Arts. So they've got a number of art initiatives, and apparently over the years 650 artists roughly and musicians have been paid by the brewery for their contributions, you know, be it through performances or artwork that has been sold in the brewery and things like that. But these guys, as of May 2020, have produced around 50 different kinds of beer. They are probably one of the best known Canadian craft breweries in Europe these days. We get a lot of Collective Arts. The Radio, the mothership, is a regular in Systembolaget, and it's actually one of the best value, bang for your buck, double IPAs that you are going to, or IPA beers that you're going to find here in Sweden. I think we pay about 30. It's either 30 or 35 crowns we pay for a little 330ml can, but when it's like 8.2% or something, it is actually very, very good value, I have to say, especially when you consider that it is an imported beer. So yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Collective Arts Brewing Company. The last beer that I reviewed from these guys, I think, was the IPA number 12, which turned out to be very, very nice, and we kind of get random beers from these guys. I actually thought they produced a lot more than 50 or 60 different beers. I think it actually might be nearer 60. Now I maybe need to check that number, but yeah, I think 60 beers. I thought they produced quite a bit more than that because of the number of things that we've had over here in Sweden. We seem to get most of their new beers actually, which is quite impressive. But yeah, a really well-known Canadian brewery these days, doing some very interesting beers. And of course, if you want to know more about the Canadian beer scene, you can check out the likes of Lee Russell, In the Basement, and Redbeard and guys like that. They've got some really nice reviews over there, and I do hope that I can get out to Canada at some point soon and review a few more Canadian beers for you, because I think in the total history of the channel I've maybe done like 10 or something like that. That's something that really does need addressed actually. But yeah, that's all you need to know about Collective Arts. If you want to learn more, check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram as always, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this one then and see how we get on. I'll let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. There you can see the nice whales on this one. I don't know, what is that? Are those pilot whales? Am I remembering my species of whales right? Are these... I don't know if they're pilot whales. I forget what the name of the ones... I don't know if they're... Are they humpbacks, maybe? I really can't remember. I know the killer whale, obviously, and I know the blue whale, but I can't remember the other ones other than that. But there is one of them that has the... You know, they're very distinct for... the kind of lines on their belly. Actually, I really forget about that. Should have paid more attention in biology class at university, although in fairness we didn't really do animal classification. My things were all about cells and, you know, the Calvin cycle and all this kind of boring biochemistry stuff. Yeah, but this one, like I say, they're describing this beer as an 8%er. an Imperial Barcelona Weisse brewed with blackberries, blueberries and blackcurrants. So as I've told you before, I'm a huge fan of you know, the berry sours, and you know, when it comes to Berliner Weisses I do like the berry ones too. But yeah, 8% ABV, an Imperial beer, this really nicely presented. There you can see here, there is the symbol for Collective Arts. I'll just let the camera focus on that a little minute. There you are. And up here you can see Garage Beer Company as well. The where is it? Lightning bolt symbol is their one. So yeah, let's get this guy out then and we'll get on with the tasting. A 440ml can, this one. Oh, and I can tell you straight away, this beer is a beautiful colour. Just look at this. So yeah, look at that. That's awesome. I'm really curious to see what the higher alcohol does in this, and as I say, I'm not 100% clear on what exactly a Barcelona Weisse actually is. So yeah, we'll need to see what this one has in store for us. But yeah, look at that. That's like Ribena. I don't know how good a reference that is for Canadians or for Spanish people, but in Scotland, one of the drinks that you always had as a kid was Ribena. This one, it looks a bit like red wine in fairness, so that's adult Ribena. But yeah, you know, it was blackcurrant juice. Ribena is a type of blackcurrant juice actually. There's a solid 2/3 finger of a frothy, very, very pink head on that one. It's almost like this is almost like a kind of maroon type colour. It's actually not a million miles away from my hoodie that I've got on, a bit darker to be honest with you. But yeah, this beer, the colour of that's fabulous, I have to say. Not quite as fabulous as Beyonce, because Beyonce is very fabulous, I have to say. But yeah, it is pretty damn fabulous. If I shine the light through this, you can see that the beer, it does have a degree of haze, which is what you would expect from any type of Weisse beer. You're always going to get that out of it. But it does have a degree of clarity as well. It gets a little bit lighter when you shine the light and things through it. So I really like how this one goes together actually. The appearance of this one, I think, is absolutely beautiful. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. I'm not overly surprised at the appearance with this one, but I really like the colour of this, and it looks very impressive, I have to say. But not out with the realms of possibility, of course, for a blackberry, blackcurrant, blueberry. But in Weisse, you know, these fruits are all, you know, quite dark colours, and they are going to dye your beer quite a little bit. So let's look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Yeah, this smells really nice. So straight away with this one, you get that kind of brambly type note. I mean, when we talk about brambles, it's, you know, these little it's, you know, the thorns that these berries and things grow on. My grandpa always had you know, brambles in his garden. I used to get in trouble for eating the things. I used to get shouted at for that. You know, I used to come away with the thorns stuck in my hands and not caring, of course. But yeah, it smells, the aroma you get out of this one, you can smell the lovely juicy fruits on it, but imagine that it's just rained outside and, you know, you're standing on the grass and things and you've got all these aromas coming out of the grass, and then you smell the brambles. It really has a little bit of that underneath, kind of fruity things. It's almost like that kind of earthy, grassy kind of mix in there. The fruits just give it that really earthy, kind of grassy sort of vibe actually. So that's really interesting. It smells very, very juicy. I mean, you can smell a little bit of the tartness of the blueberries in this one, and you get the kind of juicier thing from the blackcurrants and the blackberries. I've always found that blueberries are a little bit more tart than blackberries and blackcurrants. They're always a little bit more juicy, you know, but you can smell all three of them in there. You've got the juicy, almost Ribena background to it, the blackberries in there as well, and just that slightly more tart blueberry. It's, you know, it's got everything you'd expect, this beer. The thing with the Berliner Weisses I've always found is they're not the most complex of beers. You know, if it's a strawberry Berliner Weisse, you're going to get wheat. You're maybe going to get a bit of grassy hop out of it, but you're also going to get, you know, strawberries out of it. These beers are pretty straight up, and I think, yeah, sour beers generally, I think, are not the most complex in terms of the aroma, but the way I always rate a sour beer is the transition that it makes. When you take it in, it's going to be puckering, it's going to be sour, but then it's all about how it makes that transition to be juicy and fruity and also nice and smooth and kind of sweeter as well. That's what the sour beers are all about for me. But with this one, you can definitely smell a nice little bit of the wheat I don't think the wheat comes across as quite as sweet in this one as it has in other ones. There is a wee hint of an almost vanilla type quality in there. There's a wee hint of a kind of earthiness to this one and a grassiness, so maybe it has a little bit of German hop in it. And of course some breweries don't actually add hops to these Berliner Weisse. Some of them will use things like Brewed to give you just a little touch of bitterness, and some of them just don't add anything, to be honest with you. So yeah, does this one actually say, does it have hops in it? Does it say? Just says, no, it just says malted barley, wheats, oats. No, actually, sorry, it does. It says it's got lactose in it as well, so that's maybe the explanation as to why I was getting a wee bit of vanilla out of this. Lactose can give you a little bit of a kind of vanilla-y, milky type impression. But yeah, this one does have hops in it, so that makes sense. Yeah, you will get a little, there is a little bit of a lighter kind of grassiness out of this one, so probably a very light German noble hop in here. What they quite often do with these beers, from what I've been told by people, is they put older hops into the beer, because then the bitterness isn't going to take over the sour parts of the beer. You've got loads of different varieties of yeast that you can use, Lactobacillus Brettanomyces. I think most breweries these days have a bit of a mix. They've usually got a house culture, and it's a mixture of both of these different things, from what I gather. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. Right enough, I'm not an expert in bacteria. Chemistry and physics were my thing, not so much biology. My friend Grant was always, who you've seen on the channel actually, my friend Grant was always the one that was a bit more versed in that. But yeah, the aroma of this one is pretty much what you'd expect. You can smell that it's a little bit thicker and boozy. The lactose doesn't come out too much in this, but the berry aromas come out really nicely, and the way it has that kind of almost slightly earthy note to it as well, as if it's rained outside at the brambles, is quite interesting. I've noticed that in a few beers, notably the one that I had from Örebro Brewing here in Sweden recently. They're doing some really lovely sour beers actually. So yeah, this one I think is going to be pretty damn good. So let's have a taste of it then and see how we get on. This one is the Whale Mist. I don't know why they've named it like that actually. Maybe whale as in like a very rare beer. But yeah, this one is the Whale Mist, coming in 8% ABV, a Barcelona style Weisse with blackberries, blueberries and blackcurrants from Garage Beer Company in Barcelona, in collaboration with Collective Arts Brewing Company from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål, salut, santé. Cheers. That's really nice actually. First impression, very smooth, very juicy Berliner Weisse actually. Sorry, I'm saying Berliner Weisse. It's really thick and creamy, this one, and that'll be the lactose I think that's doing that. You would never guess that this is 8%. It's stupidly easy to drink for an 8%er. That's very nice. I'm going to enjoy this one. I'm going back on the hangout with Craig and Jake in a little minute. But this one, this is a lovely beer. This, you would never guess the smoothness and things out of this is ridiculous. It's very, very thick and very creamy actually. So that wasn't quite what I expected. I thought this one, I thought it would just, well, to be honest, I don't know what I expected. I thought the wheaty notes might be a bit more kind of noticeable in this one, but it really strikes me as more oaty and creamy actually. Yeah. So I really like how this one goes together actually. This, I'll say straight away, this gets a big thumbs up from me. And what I'll say is the flavour profile of this beer is not too complex. It's just really, it's one of these ones where it's really nicely crafted. But again, as I've told you, I don't find sour beers to be all that complex. These ones are interesting in that sense because it's the simplicity, I think, and that makes them good, and it's the way that these flavours kind of fit together that I think is really great. So yeah, let's focus on that then. So the middle of your palate is pretty much what you'd expect. You can feel a little bit of that white bready malt, that just blankets the middle of your tongue. You've got a thicker kind of oaty, creamy note pushing its way out of this beer, which is very nice. So yeah, I really like how this one is. I really like how this is going together. You can feel the wheaty notes in this one. They're just forming the backbone of the beer, but on top of that, you really get the big oaty creaminess and the kind of lactosey notes there. The oats and the lactose are doing something really interesting in this beer actually. I like how that goes together. The middle third of your tongue feels very, very thick and very almost milkshakey, to be honest with you. I really like how that all goes together. If you go towards the back third of your tongue, you do get a little bit, there is a wee teeny bit of bitiness from the wheat, but it's very, very minimal. You can more feel the kind of lactosey notes just kind of spreading back there. But yeah, the whole the whole two back thirds of your tongue, wheaty base, very, very oaty and creamy, a bit more oaty towards the front of it though, but the lactose really kind of spreads out throughout the whole back of your beer. This beer is really ridiculously smooth. It's almost like a milkshake, to be honest with you. There's not much complexity to the malt base on this one, but I think it is really very nice actually. Yeah, this one, it gets a big thumbs up from me. This isn't what I expected, but I have to say it is just really, really well done. And with these two breweries, you know, I'm not surprised actually. I really am not surprised with these two. So yeah, in the back corners of the palate then, let's focus on the hoppy side of the things. Again, this beer's what you'd expect. You've got a little touch of earthiness in there. It's quite a smooth earthiness. That makes me think German hops. But as you come further forward on this one, it gets a little bit herbal. You do pick up a little bit of a slightly bright floral quality on the front corners of your tongue. Then round the very front curve of your palate, it's just a little bit lighter and grassy, and then behind the front curve of the tongue, of course, that's where you've got that nice little oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. The front third of your tongue is usually where you get the kind of fruity side of the beer. Maybe they've used Bramlin's Cross in this actually, because it does have a little bit of that kind of figgy type note to it. And Bramlin's Cross, of course, it's a very popular hop to use with Doppelbock. I think they use it in Dunkels as well actually. So I wonder if they have used a kind of slightly old thing of that in there, because I think if it was fully fresh it would be a bit more prominent, to be honest, unless they've added very, very little hop to it, of course. But yeah, I do think behind the front curve of the tongue there, it's just got a very light sort of figgy kind of type quality there. So I do wonder, Bramlin's Cross maybe. They could, and you know, it could of course be American hops and things they've used in this one. It's probably more likely that they're using a little bit of American hop, like, you know, Summit or maybe even a bit of Williamette or something like that. But there is just something about the grassiness and floral notes in here that makes me think German hops. But yeah, as I've always said, when you add fruit into beer, the thing that fruit does is that it suppresses a little bit of the green side of the beer, it suppresses a little bit of the IBUs, and you've got a really nice, you get some of the tartness. I think behind the very front edge of the tongue you do get the sour notes of the blueberries coming out in this one. Yeah, you do get a wee bit of a sour kind of blueberry note coming out of this one, which I think is really quite nice, that sour blueberry note there. But then you start to get the juicier, as you move out from the very kind of front part of your palate, you start to get the blueberries and the the blackcurrants and the blackberries coming out of this one. They are a little bit more kind of juicy actually. I really like how the flavours in this go together. So the sourness in this one I really think is coming from the blueberries, and that sits on the kind of very front part of the tongue. But then you've got the juicy blackberries and blackcurrants in the beer as well. So I really like how this one is. I really like how this goes together. This beer really is very nice. I didn't expect it to be quite as thick and creamy and milkshakey as it was. So yeah, I do wonder, is this the whole point of a Barcelona Weisse? Those of you who are watching from Barcelona or Catalunya or Spain generally, let me know what the whole idea behind a Barcelona Weisse is, because if this is what it is, I think this will be a really interesting style to explore more. And I'd love to, as I say, I'd love to get down to Barcelona and explore the beer scene there a bit more. But I really, really like this beer. This is beautifully done, very smooth, thick, milkshakey type Berliner Weisse. This one, massive thumbs up from me. Wasn't what I expected, but it's a very, very pleasant surprise, this beer. Not the most complex of things, but personally I don't find sours that complex. It's more about how the flavours fit together for me, and this one certainly kind of fits the bill quite nicely, I have to say. So yeah, I like what they've done with this one. Big thumbs up to both Collective Arts and to Garage Beer, the home brewery here. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I think this one, it's fair to say this is a pretty full-bodied beer. Carbonation is very, very smooth in this one. I think this is, it's a big, you know, it's a big creamy mouthfeel, but at the same time it does have a little bit of wetness to it. The sourness is quite mild in this one. I would say it's just got a little bit of tartness in the beginning, but then it really smooths out and becomes very juicy later on. It's really very milkshakey, this beer, rather than anything else. In terms of the hoppy bitterness, I'd be surprised if you're getting 10 IBUs out of this one. It really is that light in terms of its bitterness, but that doesn't, you know, that's what you expect from Berliner Weisse, in fairness. Very, very, and in terms of its maltiness, as I say, very, very smooth, very thick and kind of creamy. It's the oats and the kind of lactosey notes that are pulling everything out in this, and as I say, the fruitiness that you have in this, it's a little bit juicy. There is a wee bit of a kind of almost figgy note from the hops, but then the tartness comes from the blueberries, and then some of the juiciness around the front edge of the tongue. The rest of that is blackcurrants and blackberries. But yeah, a lovely, lovely beer, this one. Very unusual compared to what I've had before, but I think if this is what a Barcelona Weisse is, the big kind of lactosey, creamy, oaty thing, I think this is definitely going to be an interesting style to explore. And it's interesting that they like this, because, you know, you'd think, obviously if you think of a milkshake, I don't know how summery people would consider that, but Barcelona is a very, very sunny city. It's very warm for a lot of the time, from what I gather, so it's interesting that they like these big kind of thick ones like this. You'd think they would want it a little bit more kind of crisp or something. So I have to admit, when I went into this beer, I was expecting something along the lines of like a, you know, how the Floridian IPAs, they've got that kind of sour, citricy type of thing. I was expecting more of that from this beer, but it has been a very pleasant surprise. So as I say, please let me know more in the comment section below about the Barcelona Weisse style. I think this will be a very interesting one to explore. But yeah, a beautiful beer, this one, the Whale Mist, a collaboration between Garage Beer Company in Barcelona and Catalunya and Collective Arts from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Really enjoyed reviewing this one, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed my take on it as well. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from both from Garage Beer Company and from Collective Arts. No doubt we will return to both of these breweries at some point in the near future. Do check out my social media. Let me know a little bit more about the Barcelona Weisse style, and I do hope we can try some of these again. But this one was the Whale Mist, and it was pretty damn awesome. An 8% Imperial Barcelona Weisse with blueberries, blackcurrants and blackberries from Garage Beer Company in Barcelona and Collective Arts in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Until the next time, Slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, skål, salud, santé, prost, whatever you want to say. Cheers.